Welcome, everyone, to the L7C podcast, NFL Divisional Round Playoff Edition. We are in the Divisional Round of the NFL Playoffs, so the producer, Justin Akindale, is with us today. How you doing today, sir?
I'm good, bro. How you doing?
Man, I mean, it's Friday, and Fridays for me are typically not good at the office, so... So I'm actually this was actually the highlight of the day. Coming home, actually be able to talk some NFL with you. And before we got a lot of games to go over, some big games, obviously, and talk a little bit about some of last week. But let's just get into this first thing. We were joking before we went live that I don't know if we should be called the L7C or we should be called the L7 Eagles or the L7 Wins, because they've been on our pod almost every NFL one. So Monday, Doug Peterson got fired by the Eagles. And this was a guy who just led the Eagles to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Right, Justin?
Yep, led them to the Super Bowl in 2017.
Man, 5 seasons with the Eagles, 42-37-1 record. You had it down. 2016, he was 7-9. 2017 was 13-3, the Super Bowl champs. 2018, 9-7. And they were one. What was the wide receiver? It wasn't Nelson Aguilar. Was it Jeffrey? Jeffrey? Yeah, it was Jeffrey. One tip Jeffrey passed away from going back to the NFC Championship game back-to-back years. Then he was 9-7, 2019 wild card, lost to the Eagles. Wentz got hurt. Then 2020 this year, 4-11-1. Justin, man, break this firing down for us. Was it deserved?
I don't know if I can say this one was necessarily deserved. I mean, the man's 4-2 in the playoffs. The division wasn't that good, so he was eating up on a weak division. What this boiled down to, essentially, Troy Aikman went on the Michael Urban podcast, and he talked to Doug Peterson after he got fired. And he basically said that how Jeffrey Lurie, the owner, wanted to keep Carson Wentz, and Doug Peterson wanted to go with Jalen Hurts. So that's essentially what Dougie P got fired. He got the axe.
Wow. So he wanted to go with Jalen, and the ownership want to go with Carson, obviously, which we spoke about every week because of that money. But did he talk on the podcast did Doug talk about that end of game thing with taking Jalen out? Was that his call? Was that management, or he didn't say anything about that?
I don't know if Troy and Doug talked about that, but me speculating, I'm thinking that tank job came from upstairs in the front office, that it wasn't entirely Doug Peterson's decision to pull Jalen Hurts in that game. I mean, because if you're coaching for your job, you're going to want to win that game. He had the impression that he was, good to go. Like, I'm good after this game, whatever. But yeah, so Carson Wentz is tearing up the Eagles once again. That's what it always boils down to.
And he'll be the starter next year. I mean, off the jump. So I guess what the Eagles now is I've heard these Super Bowl coaches do not come off trees. So where can they go to get an adequate coach to fill in or fix Carson Wentz? Like, who's available?
That's a good question, because the Eagles have done this before. Like, they fired Andy Reid, and 4 NFC championships, Andy Reid. They even fired Chip Kelly. I mean, he wasn't great, but he made it to the playoffs when we went 10-6 with Nick Foles as quarterback. So I really don't know who the hell is about to coach the Eagles next year. I don't know.
Yeah, because I know the hottest name is the Cheifs offensive coordinator. That's who everyone is saying everyone should go after. I did see a report where they were interested in Ryan Day, and Ryan Day said no. So I don't know if they're looking at college ranks too. Is that something maybe a Lincoln Riley entertains?
Yeah, I think the rumors are Lincoln Riley. I think I've seen some articles saying that Lincoln Riley might be the candidate for that job.
But Lincoln had Jalen, so wouldn't he want to start Jalen? So it'd be the same situation.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to find a coach who wants to coach Carson Wentz, and I don't think Frank Wright's leaving Indy anytime soon. So they're gonna have to find a coach that wants to fix Carson Wentz. I think they can do it. I mean, just last year the man was fine. Like, he was fine, just got hurt in the playoff game. So I think he can be fixed, but He's making a lot of money. He didn't play well this year, and that's a problem.
Yeah, man. With Carson, I don't know. There's always things about his leadership that come up every week ever since the Foles thing. And we even talked about it months ago that maybe he just needs a new change of scenery. How are you the big paid quarterback, but every time you go to practice, you see your former backup statue at the stadium?
Yeah, I mean, I feel where he's coming from then, but they pay like the Eagles put all this money into Carson Wentz, like they're invested in him at this point. They just fired their only Super Bowl winning coach for Carson Wentz. So Jeffrey Lurie has made his stamp. Howie Roseman, the GM, who's the main culprit in all this.
Why is he not gone?
Because he good in with the owner. He good with the owner. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he good with the owner. Like Howie Roseman straight.
Oh, that's wild. And I just found out that part of that Nick Foles statue, Doug Peterson's a part of the statue.
Yeah, they got a statue of Doug Peterson out there. Yeah, it's wild in Philly. As a Cowboys fan, I love it, but
I
as a commentator, it's just odd. It's just odd to watch.
Another thing that just came out of nowhere that we just hit on last week is Deshaun Watson. Like, it came out last week that he was supposed to be in the talks about when they were hiring a GM coach, and he wasn't in the talks. Now he's not returning phone calls. And we have Texans legend Andre Johnson saying they waste talent there. So what's happening with this? Is he going to force his way out? And is that a right move for him? Like what's going on with him?
So let's backtrack to March of 2020. So the Texans trade DeAndre Hopkins.
Yep.
Trade him away for David Johnson and pick. Deshaun Watson was pissed about that. He was heated.
I would be too. Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. Deshaun Watson, if you're so mad, why a couple months later you sign a 5-year extension for $156 million?
You just said why? $156 million.
Yeah. So he's locked in. I understand where he's coming from about, the organization being on bullshit, wasting away careers, not making the right moves, but you should have thought about that before you signed with him. You just had a career year this year. I know the team sucked, but you were great. You could have, not signed that contract and, leave him up in the air, because since he signed that contract, there really ain't shit that he can do to get out of Houston unless he retires or he holds out. Because he's locked up. I know the Texans aren't going to trade him. They already said they're not going to trade him. So we're looking at like a Le'Veon Bell type of situation. He's going to have to like hold out and try to really force them to do something. Be a cancer almost. That's his only shot of really getting traded, if you ask me.
Yeah, you said the last one to do that, which was Le'Veon Bell. But ever since Le'Veon did that, he's not been the same player at all. He wasn't even worth the money.
Little different situation. Le'Veon Bell didn't play so he can get paid. Deshaun Watson already got paid. He'll be holding out to get traded.
Gotcha. And you've talked about a couple teams that if they traded, they have the cap space to get him. Colts, the football team, Dolphins, 49ers. If he got traded, what team do you feel like would be the best fit for him? I think you're going to go. Are you going 49ers or the Dolphins?
I think I would go.
I'm going different. I'm going the football team. I think he makes them instant perennial NFC East champions.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. 49ers, though, that'll be deadly, though. The only reason why I'm a little hesitant to say the 49ers is they're in a really hard division. That's the only reason why you put that doubt in my head. I want to instantly go the 49ers, and I thought about it. The NFC West is a pretty tough division, but coach fit wise, yeah, definitely the 49ers. They have a good running game. Kyle Shanahan can dial up the plays real well. George Kittle, like it's a stacked team. Him at quarterback is not fair, honestly.
So if you, so you would have potentially, if that were to ever happen, you would have Deshaun, Russell, Kyler, and Jared Goff obviously, I mean, your Super Bowl pick, a couple weeks ago, still in the Rams. Jared Goff would be the worst quarterback out of the four.
Yeah, Jared Goff would be the worst quarterback, and it's not really up for debate if you ask me.
Yeah, but then I guess with that too, what would they do with Jimmy Garoppolo? Because then they'd have to get rid of him. Would they trade him to Houston? Like, what would they do?
He only has a couple years left. That'll be the move. You'll trade Jimmy G probably and 2 first rounders for Deshaun.
Yeah.
Because the trade price, I was reading, is going to be at least like 3 first round picks for him. It's a guaranteed franchise quarterback. Like, that's picks right there. How many picks did the Rams trade? So they can trade to get Jared Goff.
Oh, they gave up a lot.
Yeah, they gave up a lot.
Speaking of that team again, the Eagles gave up a lot. I mean, so we're gonna have to wait to see that. I personally don't think he's gonna get moved. But if he does get moved, I really just see him going to that young Washington team. I really do.
They need a quarterback. They need a tone.
Because if they had Deshaun Watson, they beat my favorite team, the Buccaneers, last week.
Yeah, I mean, they had any competent quarterback. I mean, Taylor Heineke played well in that game. If they had anyone step a level above that, yeah, they're a lot closer. They're a lot closer to win that game.
So we're going to definitely have to keep an eye on that during the playoffs in the offseason. The next big news, which there was always rumors, it finally went official today. It was coming in yesterday. Urban Meyer is again coming out of the booth, unretiring from coaching to not go to a Power 5 school, but to go to the NFL to go be the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach. This, to me, I mean, there was always rumors. I never thought he'd go to the NFL, but he did. So I was shocked. Justin, what did you think about this move?
I was a little surprised. I mean, he's a made man in college football. Work in the booth, 3 national titles, 83-9 record at OSU, 187-32 record overall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought he would stay retired. I mean, his legacy's proven in college. I guess he's trying to be the GOAT football coach of all time. I guess that's what he's trying to do. Do a Jimmy Johnson.
Or Pete Carroll.
Or Pete.
This is a tough sell for me. I can't get excited about this because the biggest tool that Urban had when he was at college was his recruiting skills and going into people's living rooms, getting their sons to come. He recruited like a madman. You're not doing that in the NFL. You can't go to someone's house and say, hey, come to Jacksonville. Like, he has to learn about cap space. He has to be less hands-on because he's not going to have full control. He's going to have all these coordinators. He has to be like a real CEO and just make final decisions and things like that. And I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. And I also think with his health, he talked about his health being better, but he literally said this when he left Florida, went to the booth, came back to Ohio State, then left Ohio State, went to the booth, and now he left the booth. So this is the third time he's done this. So I don't know, man. I'm not optimistic about this move because, like you just said, 83-9 at OSU in 7 seasons. He's going to have 9 losses in his first year. I don't know if he knows what it's like to really, really lose like that on a consistent basis because the NFL is no joke.
I think he's thought about this. He Urban Meyer ain't dumb. I mean, he took that break from Florida when he was, having his health issues, and look what he did at Ohio State when he did come back. I mean, he was absolutely on fire. He was amazing. And he's going to assemble a good team that's going to probably help him with some of the stuff that he really doesn't know about. And remember when Pete Carroll did come into the NFL, those first couple of years, he was cleaning up in the draft because he recruited all those players in college, so he knows about them. And it's like his great skill is being a talent evaluator. So he has a good eye for talent. He was going into those houses there in college, recruiting those kids, evaluating that talent. And I think his eye for talent is going to help him out in the NFL. And he got Trevor Lawrence, number one pick. Jacksonville Jaguars have 76 million in cap space. So they have money to spend. I just think of Pete Carroll back in the day when he first started coaching at Seattle. He was plugged in with the college. He already knew what was going on there. He knew all those players because he recruited them at USC. So at least for the first couple of years, he's going to have an advantage in those drafts with those players, knowing those players and all that stuff.
I was going to say he doesn't have to worry about a quarterback because he's going to take Trevor number one. But I mean, Pete Carroll, he took Russell Wilson in the third round, right?
Yeah.
Like, is Urban going to be able to find that omega superstar in the making? And like you said, he will because of his valuation. That's what I'm going to be looking at because, I mean, this ain't – and also, too, I mean, he talked about the motivation. This ain't college about trying to get these people in the league. These people are literally playing to give their family lives. So it's going to be different, man. And is going to Jacksonville. He's teaming up with Trevor Lawrence. Because we all know he's going number one. Maybe get some free agents out there, but we're gonna see. He's bringing excitement to Jacksonville. That's definitely for sure. I mean, and he should know the area. These young people might not know that he wasn't only the coach at OSU. The man has 2 titles at Florida. He was there. I mean, some people only think of him as the OSU head coach. I was like, he was there at Florida for a bit.
Well, I can get real old on you. He coached Alex Smith at Utah. He's the reason why Alex Smith was the number one pick at Utah. So Urban Meyer go way back. The players that he puts into the NFL is undeniable. So he was able to spot those guys in high school. So I think he'll be able to spot college guys that he's probably already recruited, trying to get them to go to Ohio State, at least for the first 2-3 years of this thing.
We'll see, man. We'll see how he fills up his staff and all of that, man. So we got the divisional games coming up. First one we got listed here, Rams and the Packers. We both did not see the Rams in this game. We thought Wilson was going to be one of those muck 'em up games where he just pulls it out in the end. And we only said the only way they could win is if the Rams defense shows up, which they did.
Exactly what they did.
Yeah, that pick 6 was really the change of the whole game.
Oh, yeah. Watching Russell Wilson play, I was like, Jesus Christ, they're getting after him. It's bad. That game was pissing me off. I'm not even going to lie. I went to sleep. I was like, fuck this game. None of the bets are going in. I'm going to bed, but keep going.
So what do you see happening with this? Do the Rams even stand a chance against the Packers? Because the Packers, last time we saw them play, they looked like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, there's definitely a pathway to victory for the Rams. They just got to do exactly what they did last week and harass Aaron Rodgers and get to him with their number one rated defense, DVOA. So I guess the plan's going to be we're going to put Jalen Ramsey on Devontae Adams. We're going to lock him up, and we're going to have to force Aaron Rodgers to throw them Valquez-Scantling and Alan Lazard and beat us that way because the Rams are going to try to stop the run. They're going to try to stop Devontae Adams. So the plan for the Rams is going to be to get Aaron Rodgers to not dial in Devontae Adams, but Green Bay a juggernaut. They can run the ball, they can pass it. They have a good pass rush. The defense isn't too good on the run, but they can get pressure when they need to. Aaron Rodgers is, probably going to be the league MVP.
He will.
Yeah, I think there is a pathway to the Rams winning. Also, Sean McVay and Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur was McVay's OC on the Rams the first couple of years. So they kind of know each other. It's going to be a cat and mouse game with both coaches, but I think Green Bay's going to easily take this.
What's the line on this game?
Green Bay -7.
Just touchdown. Now, I would be remiss to not mention your guy. I think the most important person in this game actually is Jared Goff. Because if he plays well and that defense plays well, they're going to have a chance. Is he going to show that Jared Goff who made you say they could be Super Bowl favorites? Or is he going to show that Jared Goff who, you wonder why they spent so much to get the number 1 pick and paid him.
He's so inconsistent. And the man had thumb surgery 2 weeks ago. And the parts where I were watching that game, there was a couple balls. I mean, you could just tell, like, the thumb just wasn't right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were complete ducks. So I think the Rams offensively, they're going to try to pound it on the Packers. That's their only way to winning. The Rams have a similar offense to the 49ers. And last year, the 49ers
got stomped.
Yeah, the Green Bay came to San Francisco and, 49ers stopped them. So that's a very similar offense. Cam Akers had 176 total yards last week against the Seahawks. Mm-hmm. So I think he's going to be a huge part of that game plan. They're going to run him the ball. He had a couple catches last week. So it's going to be they're going to do what they always try to do. They're going to try to pound the ball with Cam Akers, get the play action to Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. And, when Jared Goff has clear, defined reads, he throws a good ball, but he has a broken thumb, which is why I'm not leaning towards the Rams, really. If he was healthier, it might be close, but right now I just can't do it.
Yeah, me either. I'm going Green Bay and the points too. Next one we got, I actually think this is actually maybe the most exciting game of the weekend. And that's the Ravens and the Bills. Both teams had close games last week. If I do remember, the Colts actually covered because weren't they like a 14-point underdog?
They're a 7-point dog, and yeah, they did cover.
And then the Ravens-Titans game was to the wire. Lamar Jackson got that bug off his back that he won a playoff game. And now we have 2 young quarterbacks. We're going to be the future. Well, Lamar's already, he's an MVP, but the future of this league. Justin, I really don't know who to pick in this game. Like, what's your analysis on this one?
Yeah. First of all, Lamar Jackson last week, man.
Yeah.
Recap last week a little bit. So Titans go up 10-0.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, it was like 10-3 or so, whatever. In the second quarter, Lamar breaks off that 48-yarder up the middle and scores. And that was a game after that. And in the 2-minute drill, when Tennessee was trying to come back, Marcus Peters gets the pick. And after the pick, the whole Baltimore Ravens team is, stomping on the Titans logo and doing all that shit. So I think that was a real emotional high for the Ravens. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to come in a bit flat against the Bills. I think it's going to be a kind of a high scoring game. I don't know if the Ravens can stop them. Their defensive ratings are, they're up there, they're pretty good, but I don't think they're going to be able to stop the Bills enough to win this game if they can't get going with the run game.
It's crazy too because the Bills, like every couple games, they'll be sitting in like a 20, 27, 23, and then like 2 weeks later they'll drop a 40-50 piece on you. Like they could be very explosive, but we talked about it a long time ago about if the Ravens were going to get in, and they haven't lost since. The Ravens are too hot right now.
I mean, the Bills are just as hot. I mean, both games.
That's true. They're 13-3.
Yeah, both teams are on winning streaks coming into this playoff game.
We also have to talk about the biggest issue coming into this game, the snow. Lamar, I don't know if Lamar's going to be able to run like he did in some snow in Buffalo.
Is this supposed to snow?
There's forecasts that it might snow, yeah.
How much?
I mean, it's New York. It could be 1 to 3, maybe more.
I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue for the Ravens. I mean, they're a running team. They're running a defensive football team. They're not slinging it too crazy anyway. I mean, it's not like we're talking about Florida. They're in Baltimore. Like, it snows there too. It's not like it's a warm city. So I'm not too concerned about that. Lamar Jackson's from Florida, but I mean, he's a runner. He's a runner. He's a tough kid. I don't think he's scared of cold weather. But
who are you taking in this?
I'm taking Buffalo. Just like what you said, they're just too explosive, and that's what I think the game's going to come down to. Just a explosive play late. Essentially, what happened in the Colts game. post game. Josh Allen, the fourth quarter, had a couple touchdowns, and that was the game. So I think explosive, Josh Allen bomb Stephon Diggs is going to do in the Ravens, but it's going to be a good game. I'm betting on the Bills, but I won't be too upset if it doesn't win. I love the Ravens.
Yeah, I think the Bills are going to win, but I'm going to go with the Ravens just to have some difference on the podcast, just because I don't know. I feel like Lamar they're playing really well, but then again, Josh Allen's playing really well. The defense is playing like. Also, shout out to the Buckeyes. J.K. Dobbins is playing really well. They're fighting Hollywood
last week too.
They're fighting Hollywood Brown a little bit more. I'm gonna go with the Ravens on this, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills just randomly score like 50. I really wouldn't. What we got next? Oh, hey! Oh, the Cleveland Browns versus the Kansas City Chiefs. First, I gotta say, shout out to the Cleveland Browns. You guys won me $800. So just had to throw the shout out there.
Damn.
But I've never screamed so much for a Cleveland Browns game in my entire life until that Sunday. I couldn't even scream during the Buckeye game because I lost my voice. Like $800 in the bag.
You didn't have nothing to scream about on Monday, so
no, that's good. True too. And that podcast is coming soon. We needed to heal. But Justin, that Browns win, that's the biggest win we've seen in our lifetime.
Yeah, that's the biggest Ohio pro football team win I've ever seen living here all my life. I mean, quite frankly, what the fuck were the Steelers doing in the first quarter? I didn't even start watching that game until after it was already 14-0 when I started watching. I was playing a game of 2K. I look again, I'm like, what the hell happened? And then I'm typing up the notes for the day, and I finally look at that first play where Pouncey snaps the ball over Big Ben's head. Like, what the fuck were Big Ben and James Conner doing? They're just hovering over the ball, like, hop on the damn ball. Carl Joseph just hops on the ball and scores a touchdown. And then it just ballooned after that. I mean, the Browns pretty much in that game were just in like just chill mode. Like, hey, these guys get the next.
Justin, week. I told you a Big Ben turnover game was coming. Hey, I told you.
You were right. You were
right. It was coming.
2 picks in the first quarter. It was ugly. It was
and also
ugly.
I watched the whole game, obviously, and it's the fact, too, that he had time to throw. If you watched it, they had 3 people blocking Myles Garrett. And, like, he had time, but that 28-0 in the first quarter,
I don't like. You can't come back from that. Like, at that point, like, you're done. You spot him 28 points, like, game's over. It's basically having it's basically having a 28-point spread, like. It's too easy. You get the team 28 points in the first quarter, of course they're going to win.
And it's the fact, too, that they would score, and the Browns still were scoring, so it's not like they had any glimmer of hope. Like you had in the notes, the score was a lot closer than what the game actually was. The game was not that close.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Just a little bit on the Steelers before we really focus on this game. Why did you not have, I guess they don't have the cap. Why didn't you have the Steelers as a potential spot for Deshaun Watson? They need a quarterback. It's time.
Cap space. They weren't in that top 10 of cap room.
Okay.
All those teams were like top on the list I was reading, like top 10 of cap. That's why.
You put Deshaun on the Steelers? Whew.
Yeah, I mean, back to Deshaun Watson though, like I don't see that trade happening. Like I know we saw the James Harden trade earlier. Like this is the NFL. This is not the NBA. You cannot pull a James Harden and then get your way. Not in this league.
Yeah, that's true.
Not in this league.
That's true. Steelers got a lot to think about, but who cares? It's about the Browns and the Chiefs.
That's right.
First, I'm just going to say this. How much of a chance are you actually giving the Browns to make this game competitive, let alone have a shot to win?
I absolutely think they're going to keep it competitive.
Okay.
Fuck the numbers. The Browns are a 10-point underdog.
I saw that. I'm
shocked. I'm shocked because like we've been watching Kansas City for a while. I mean, after a week 8 win against the Jets, their margin of victory has only been 4 points, 3.7 points against Carolina, the Raiders, Tampa, Broncos, Miami, New Orleans, and Atlanta Falcons. Like, you know, other than Tampa Bay, New Orleans, and Miami, those teams aren't very good. Like the Chiefs should be stomping them. I was going through some of the numbers. The Chiefs have the worst red zone defense on Football Outsiders, DVOA 32 ranked. Like the Browns can score the football, they can run the football. The Browns, I had this in my notes too. The Browns have dropped 40 points 4 times this year. Now I know what we saw last year with the Chiefs in that divisional championship game against the Texans. They were down 24-0, dropped 28 in the first quarter, and ended up dropping 50 piece. But they have not done this year. Only dropped 41 times. Now it's against the Broncos. Like, I think this line is crazy to me. Like, I don't know why the Chiefs are favored by so much. I know Andy Reid's like kind of god tier off a bye, but like, you know, Cleveland ain't a bad football team. This team has won 11 games. I mean, I know they came into the playoffs with a negative point differential, but you saw what they just did to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know the Steelers been playing like dog shit, but like 10 points is a lot of points to be an underdog against the Chiefs, who haven't been putting up margin against teams all year.
Yeah, and I think also too, people are really underestimating the Browns offense. If you do remember, in the best Monday night game of the year, they dropped 40 something. Like, they lost, but they were still able to drop 40, and they were able to go tit for tat against Lamar's offense.
And the Ravens aren't bad defense either. You know,
no,
Ravens defense is better than Kansas City's defense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and they dropped 40. And also too with the Browns, people I don't know, people don't give these two enough respect. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, I think, is the best running back duo in the league.
It's not up for debate. Who better?
Yeah, but
who better? Who better than those two? Those two as a tandem, who better?
I don't think there is.
I can't think of a duo off the top of my head who got 2 running backs. The Browns have 2 number 1 running backs. 2. Mm-hmm. Like most of the time when you see the running back tandem, you know, the second guy is just like a pure receiving back or something. Kareem Hunt can do it all just like Nick Chubb. It's crazy.
And Kareem Hunt's motivated because, you know, he got let go of Kansas City, so he's gonna do some things. I think the Browns' only problem on defense, and I'm looking at his stuff right now, because Miles is going to be getting to Patrick if they don't triple team him. They're having some Denzel Ward's coming back. They're having some corners come back. They don't have anyone to guard Travis Kelce. Not one person. That's a problem.
No,
I feel like Travis is looking at a 130-something yard receiving game.
You know what? I think the Browns can keep up, though. I mean, for the path to victory is keeping the ball away from Patrick Mahomes. You got, you know, it gotta be a 40 carry type of day between the 2 running backs, you know, to eat up possessions and make sure Patrick Mahomes with the ball. But I absolutely think Cleveland can keep this close and cover that 10-point spread. Like, absolutely. I don't like. It should be like 6 or 7 points, not 10. Like,
yeah. It also too, another factor is Kevin Stefanski's going to be coaching again. Like, they had a dude who's never coached, like they've never been a head coaching last week, and they killed the Steelers. You got Kevin, who I think should honestly be unanimous coach of the year. I'm on that train now, but I'm taking Kansas City to win this game. But I really do not think Cleveland is just going to get mud stomped like everyone. Claypool thinks they're going to.
Yeah, I don't see that. The line's a little fishy. That they're giving Kansas City a lot of points, and I think that line's so high just because Andy Reid coming off a bye. But the Chiefs aren't the last year Chiefs where they were just destroying everyone. Maybe they think that they're going to come to the playoffs and do that. I'm thinking that like Vegas is thinking that Andy Reid's has been holding back all year and he's about to just unleash it all. But the Browns are good. The Browns should at least be able to keep up with them. They got 2 good running backs. Baker Mayfield's been playing good. I won't slander him anymore. Like, I think he can keep up.
Yeah, I mean, the Browns have already had one of their most successful seasons ever. God forbid if the Browns pull off the upset, this state won't survive.
like we said last week, there's always a big upset. This round 2, someone's going to lose. I'm giving all my predictions. I'm going to be wrong because someone's going to get fucking upset.
Yeah, because last week you said it. You said it. Everyone gets upset, and we did not expect the Rams and the Browns annihilation. Yeah. You're right. Someone is going to lose.
Someone who we think is going to win is going to lose.
The last one, which is they're deeming the main event of the weekend, the Buccaneers versus the Saints. Tom Brady's first time going against Drew Brees in the playoffs. Saints won the first 2 meetings. Week 1 was 34-23. Week 9, everyone has heard me go off about this week, so I'm not going to 38-3. Bucs. Saints have won the last 5 meetings versus the Bucs. This is playoff Tom. They beat the football team last week 31-23. It's starting to look like Antonio Brown's coming alive a little bit too, but this is in New Orleans. Justin, how are you seeing this one go?
Other than the fact that the Saints have been beating up on them since 2018, and the Buccaneers haven't won beating the Saints since 2018. The teams are pretty evenly matched. We got old geezers at quarterback. The Saints have an advantage at running back.
Yep.
The Saints have the better defense, in my opinion, but Tampa Bay's defense isn't much worse. Like, I think what this game is ultimately going to come down to is the Saints' pride. They've been here in the spot way too many times. They've had too many losses of just complete strangeness happens. I mean, Minnesota Miracle, that call, like, they've been through it. So I think ultimately they're going to be up and ready to play against a team that they have beaten 5 straight times, and they're not going to let that team stop them from going to the NFC Championship game and potentially Drew Brees' last home game.
Yeah, the man, like we've already said about Drew, the man has a seat ready at NBC ready for him. So everyone's saying this is his last year. None of us have actually heard him say it, but that's when everyone else is saying, man, I'm liking the Saints. They're a 3-point favorite. I think that's just right. Because the Buccaneers, if you give Tom time and these wide receivers can go, they're gonna be a threat. But I just feel like the Saints, like you said, man, you can't have it for a 4th straight year just mess up. Like, it should have been 5 if it really wasn't for the deflection against the Eagles with Nick Foles.
Yeah.
But I'm going Saints here. I can't pick the Bucs. I didn't even want to pick the Bucs last week. And if they had a competent quarterback, they would have lost. I was so close. But I'm going Saints here. So that would have me.
You just don't like the Buccaneers, and it's funny, but there's also some advantages.
Oh, they're good. It's just
there's also that 38-3 for the Saints too. Marshawn Lattimore owns Mike Evans.
Yes,
their last 3 matchups, Mike Evans has had 6 targets and 0 catches. So if the trend stays the same, Mike Evans is going to be a non-factor, and the Buccaneers are going to have their hand time behind their back. They're only going to have Gronk, AB, and Chris Godwin. Still a deadly lineup, but yeah.
Yes.
And then also, as God mentioned, the Saints cornerback, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I heard Peter Schrager on a podcast call him the Pat Bev of the NFL. If you were watching closely in that Bears-Saints game last week, Anthony Miller threw a punch at him because, C.J. Gardner-Johnson was talking that good shit and got Anthony Miller out the game and a penalty. So something for the Bucs to think about. I don't know if this man's good, but he's good at talking shit. So don't let him get in your head.
It's the Sunday night game. It's the last game of the weekend. I do feel rightfully so, because how often do you get Tom Brady versus Drew Brees in the playoffs? So we're gonna see, man. We're gonna see. Are you taking the Saints in this one, or?
Man, I gotta take Tampa Bay. I'm a Tampa Bay fan.
So right now, at the end of Sunday, your NFC Championship game is the Packers versus Tampa Bay. So you have Tom versus Aaron. Mine is the Packers versus the Saints. So you have Aaron versus Drew. AFC Championship game, you got, if it all goes well, you got Chiefs and the Bills, and I have Chiefs and the Ravens. Man, I really hope Cleveland messes things up for everybody. Oh my gosh.
The only thing I don't want to happen is the Rams winning. The Rams do not need to crash this party and just fuck everything up. We can get Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees versus Aaron Rodgers. We do not need Jared Goff sliding in there and ruining that. We just don't need it.
Boy,
we just don't need that. I'm sorry.
That would be bad. And they're the first game, right?
Yes, they're the first game.
That'll just
put a sour taste in everyone's mouth if that happens.
All right, man. It's time for the Akys bets picks. Justin, man, what are the smart bets for the viewers? Who can get some cash?
Yeah, I only got 2 this week because these are the only 2 I really feel confident about. The other 2 games, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I really don't know who the fuck gonna win those other 2 games. I ain't even gonna hold you. But I got the Bills against the Ravens. I got the Bills -2.5, and then I got the Browns +10. It's just the Browns are getting way too many points, and I just don't know why the Chiefs are favored by so much, and the Bills are just so hot, and I just think it's going to come to a big explosive play, and I just trust the Bills doing that more than the Ravens at this point.
Okay, man, it's dwindling down. We only got 4. How many games we got? 4 games.
We got 3 games left after this week.
Yeah, it's dwindling, man. It is dwindling. Justin, you got anything else? Talk NFL wise. There hasn't been any breaking news when we've been recording. Anything else for the listeners out there?
No, I think we pretty much ran through everything. It's going to be a good weekend. As long as the Rams don't mess everything up, we should have a great next week.
And they started off too. They started off.
We're going to know by the evening time of next week if we're going to have a good championship Sunday. We'll know.
We will. But with that being said, thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast. Thank you, Justin, for dropping that NFL knowledge on us. Divisional round starts tomorrow with, man, now for my game that I was least excited about. Now I really got to watch. It's just really just put that in my head. What if the Rams do crash the party? Now I'm really thinking about it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. But guys, remember Justin's picks. Get out there, make them, get some money for yourselves. And we will be back next week to go over the NFC and AFC championship week. So we will be back for you guys and breaking any news that happens in the NFL. You know where to find us on Anchor, Apple, Google, YouTube, everything. Like, rate, comment, subscribe. Thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast. You guys take care.
See you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.